this is Sarah from My Montana Kitchen, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It has been a minute since I've posted anything new, and I've had this recipe video idea going for months, and I've just never taken the time to actually film it. So this is not going to be like a super well put together video with great editing and all of that. I just wanted to get it out there so you guys can start to enjoy this recipe. One of the most asked questions probably when I post sourdough content is this Trim Healthy Mama friendly? And the majority of my sourdough recipes are not Trim Healthy Mama friendly, but this one is. And I personally do not do THM anymore, but most of the recipes on my blog are still THM friendly. Even a lot of the new ones that I'm posting are still THM friendly. Maybe it's a crossover or maybe not, but I will usually tell you in the blog post if it's THM friendly or not. But this recipe is for a whole wheat sandwich loaf. Now, the sandwich loaf recipe that I already have on my blog is my family's favorite sourdough recipe of all. And I wanted to have a whole wheat version available. And so I just made a few tweaks, and it's wonderful. It's delicious. So I'm just gonna walk you through step by step exactly how you can make it at home. I'm gonna show you what ingredients I use and all of that. So let's get started. So first of all, you're going to measure out your water. All of the instructions, all of the amounts are going to be at the link in the description. There's a link down there where you can get a printable recipe for yourself. All right, then we're going to add the starter, active starter. Okay, now you'll notice the starter is not made with whole wheat. It's my understanding that for sourdough to be THM friendly, the starter does not have to be whole wheat. Would that be best case scenario? Yes, probably, but it is okay if you use regular flour in your starter, so long as the other ingredients that you're putting in and the other flours you're using are whole grain. So this is okay. So we mix the starter and the water, and then we're gonna add the salt. And then we're gonna add honey. Now, if you don't want it sweet at all, you definitely can just leave that out. And then you'd be sure that you're not, using too much of a good thing. If that's something that, whatever. Okay, so we're gonna mix the honey really well till it's dissolved in the water and the starter. And then we're gonna add the flour. Now the flour that I use is Wheat Montana. Now I did live in Montana for 9 years, and I could buy this flour at my local Walmart, just at the grocery store. When I moved to Pennsylvania in 2024, I found that you can't buy Wheat Montana flour at the grocery store. So I have to order it online, but I order it from walmart.com, and it comes out to a little over $5 or $6 a bag, I think, and it's a 5-pound bag. So that's a pretty decent price still. It comes in a 4-pack, and you can freeze the flour, so it can last you for a very long time. But this is the brand that I use, and it is the brand that I recommend. I love Wheat Montana's products and their flour especially, so I definitely recommend this. I will try to put a link in the blog post, in the recipe card. There will be a link to where you can buy this flour. Okay, so now we're gonna add the flour. have to open up a new bag. Then the other ingredient that I add is Vital Wheat gluten. Now, the Vital Wheat gluten helps it to have a little more rise and a little more fluffy. So you don't need a whole lot of Vital Wheat gluten. You may not need a 4-pound bag of Vital Wheat gluten, but you just need a little bit. And you can buy much smaller packages of the Vital Wheat gluten, and that's all you need. You only need 15 grams for this recipe. Now, another recipe that I have that I like to use the Vital Wheat gluten in is my sprouted roll recipe. I have a recipe for 30-minute sprouted dinner rolls. Those are THM friendly as well. And in that recipe, it doesn't actually call for Vital Wheat gluten, but I like to add just a little bit because it does make them much more fluffy. So that's part of the reason why we're adding it here. And again, you only need 15 grams, so you don't need a lot. Okay, now I'm just gonna mix it up. Okay, until it loosely forms, you know, all comes together and there's no bits of flour, no rogue bits of flour. Okay, that's what it's gonna look like. I like to clean out my dough whisk as best I can. Okay, and then one of the best things I ever bought for doing sourdough, and I'm not big into like lots of extra things to do sourdough. I think you can do sourdough with pretty much what you have at home already. But one of the best things I ever did was buy a 100 pack of shower caps. Look at that. It's so perfect. You can see in the bowl. It's wonderful. So that is linked also. You can check that out. I got it on Amazon for like $10. Best thing ever. Okay, so now we're going to let this set for 30 minutes. Then we're gonna come back and start our stretch and fold. So it's been 30 minutes, probably a little over actually. So we're gonna do our first set of stretch and folds. Here's what the dough looks like before. And I like to get my hands wet before I put them in the dough. That way it just doesn't stick quite so bad. All right, so to do your stretch and folds, you just pull it up and over, rotate the bowl, up and over, again, rotate it up, over, and again. Now, you can see after just one set of stretch and folds, we already have a pretty nice looking dough. So from here on out, instead of doing more stretch and folds, we're gonna do coil folds, and I'll explain that when we get there. But that's all we have to do for now. If your dough is really stiff and you can't even like stretch it to do a stretch and fold, then you need to just let it set longer on your counter. Maybe let it go 45 minutes or an hour instead of 30 minutes in between. The whole wheat is a little more stiff. So that's just, you know, if you find you can't do a good stretch and fold, then just wait a little bit and try again. The gluten should relax and make it easier the longer it sets. Okay, so we're gonna let it set for another 30 minutes and then I'll be back soon to show you what to do next. It's been another 30 minutes. So here's what the dough looks like now. So again, I'm gonna get my hands, I'll just get a little bit of water on my hands. And now we're gonna switch to coil folds. So to do a coil fold, you're just gonna take your hands and get right down under the dough and lift it up from the middle. And it's all probably just gonna come up. Then you're gonna kind of slap it down, fold it over. And then we're gonna do that several times around. I don't even know if you would call this a true coil fold, because a coil fold, when you pick it up, it kind of comes over on itself. So we're having to kind of help it along a little bit because it's a little bit of a stiffer dough. But that's what it should look like. Now maybe on the next one, I'll give you an up close so you can see a little better what I'm actually doing in the bowl. But here's what it looks like. It's looking really nice. And we're gonna cover it back up and let it rest for another 30 minutes. It's been another 30, 45 minutes. I don't know, maybe it's actually been an hour this time. I didn't realize when my timer went off. But here's what it looks like now, and it's time for the third set of stretch and folds or coil folds or slap and folds, whatever you want to call it. But again, we're just gonna put our hands right underneath. I just remembered I said I was gonna show you up close. All right, hold on. Okay, so here we go. You can see what it looks like. I'm gonna get my hands a little bit wet. Then we're just gonna go right under the middle and lift up, kind of fold it over on itself. Lift up, slap down, fold over on itself. It's already starting to get puffy, you can see. Lift up, fold over, and we're just gonna do one of those on each side, kind of fold it under itself, like that. Then we'll cover it again, and we'll do one more in about 30 or 45 minutes, and then it will be time for the bulk fermentation. We've come to our final stretch and fold or coil fold or whatever you want to call it. So here we go, it's looking good. So we're just gonna repeat the same process again, just kind of fold it over itself. And then after that, what we're gonna do is let it bulk ferment on the counter. And I'm going to let it go for probably 6 or 7 hours. It's almost 2 o'clock now, and then I'll come back and show you how to shape it next. So it's been about 5.5 hours. I know I said I was gonna wait 6 or 7, but I'm ready to start shaping things now. So here's what the dough looks like. It's risen really well. It's nice and puffy. There's a few little bubbles around. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna shape it. Now, I know the lighting's not good here. I'm gonna switch it up in a minute and so you can see how I shape it. But I wanna talk just for a minute about the pans I use. I use USA bread pans. These are Pullman pans without a lid. A Pullman pan with a lid has a lid that slides on here, and you can bake it with the lid on, and it makes it a nice like square loaf for sandwiches. But I like having a domed top on my loaves. So these are the pans I use. They're linked below in my Amazon store. I love them. And the best way to grease them is just with a stick of butter. You definitely don't want to spray oil or anything like that on them. Just take a stick of butter and run it up and down the edges and the sides and the bottom, and put your bread in, and it comes right out when it comes out of the oven. So let's get the pan ready, and then we'll shape this loaf. All right, so first thing is we're gonna grease the pan. Like I said, just rub your stick of butter all around it. Like that. Then I'm gonna put just a little bit of flour. Of course, this is white flour. You could definitely use the whole wheat flour. And then I'm gonna dump this out onto the counter. So it's nice and puffy, which means that it's, it's doing well. So to shape it, I just kind of flatten it a little bit, get it kind of into a rectangle shape. Any large bubbles, go ahead and get them out, because you don't really want large bubbles in your sandwich bread. Then we fold this side over and fold this side over, and then I flip it this way and I just roll it, kind of tucking it as you go, and pinch the ends, kind of push them under. Okay, there we go. Just put it in the pan, and I'm gonna put this back over it, and I'm gonna put it in the fridge for overnight. It's the next morning, and this has been in the fridge all night long. You can see that it rose pretty well. So the next thing we're gonna do is just score the top of it real quick, and then we're gonna bake it in the oven. So I just do a score across like that. Sometimes I add some wheat stalks, but not always. We will today. Okay, then we're gonna put it in the oven at 400 degrees for 30 minutes. The bread just came out of the oven. So here it is. And I just very lightly brush the top with butter. Not a lot, just a little bit. And then we're gonna turn it out of the pan onto a cooling rack and let it cool completely. So here you can see, I mean, it looks like it's a nice loaf of bread. Here's the finished product of the whole wheat bread. It turned out great. So go ahead and give it a try. Again, the recipe is linked in the box below. You can get a free printable recipe card. You can print it off and you can make it at home. 100% whole wheat flour, sourdough, and it is THM friendly. So give it a try.